Uchimura is still adjusting to his new role as a demon general. He got his own office now, which is an upgrade. But despite the small perks, it's still overwhelming. He's still not quite used to the whole situation and feels like he's in way over his head. Since he's now an official general, Uchimura feels like he should at least introduce himself to his colleagues. So, he heads over to Sylphid's quarters, hoping to meet her and make a good impression. When he knocks on her door, he's greeted by a young woman who seems way too busy to deal with him. She tells him that Sylphid is buoy and can't be disturbed, leaving Uchimura a little disappointed but not surprised. It's like walking all the way to the break room for a snack, only to find it's out of order. Not exactly a warm welcome to the team. Uchimura decides to try again later, but just as he turns to leave, Almandra rushes up to him with urgent news. There's an important task from the Demon Lord, and Uchimura needs to head over immediately. Uchimura heads to the Demon Lord's place, wondering what kind of mess he's walking into. The Demon Lord briefs him about a crucial negotiation with the Ogre tribe, a group of demi-humans. They're strong, and if they decide to become enemies, it could be a huge problem. The Demon Lord needs Uchimura to secure a peaceful agreement with them. The Demon Lord gives him full authority to handle the situation, which feels like both an honor and a curse. Uchimura's not exactly thrilled about going into potentially dangerous territory alone, but it's his job now. Almandra offers to escort him, but there's one problem: she doesn't get along with Genome, the head of the demi-human division. Almandra and Genome have bad history and neither of them is willing to compromise. Uchimura decides to go find Genome and try to get some answers. When Uchimura finds Genome, she's busy overseeing her troops. He's impressed by the sheer strength and morale of her soldiers. They're disciplined and clearly well trained. After the training ends, Uchimura asks Genome about the Ogre tribe, hoping for some useful advice. Genome admits she doesn't know much about them but warns him about their leader. Ogre's infamously difficult and stubborn, making negotiations nearly impossible. It's not the most helpful information, but it's something. Genome also refuses to work and he has to figure out how to handle the situation on his own. Things take a turn when Almandra shows up behind Uchimura, and it's clear that she's not happy to see Genome. The two immediately start arguing, and Uchimura is left standing there, feeling like he's in the middle of an awkward family feud. Almandra says she's just concerned for Uchimura's safety. Uchimura and Almandra make their way to the Ogre castle. They're stopped at the gate and told to wait for Ogre's permission to enter. Almandra is furious, calling it an insult, but Uchimura recognizes it for what it is: a power move. Ogre is trying to unsettle them, to throw them off balance. Uchimura keeps his cool and urges Almandra to be patient, even though it's clear she's barely holding it together. After a long wait, they're finally allowed inside. Uchimura can't help but notice that Ogre's armor is in a terrible state. It's clearly falling apart, which is a strange look for someone who's supposed to be a powerful leader. Inside the throne room, things go from bad to worse. Ogre greets them with nothing but hostility and makes it clear that he's not interested in negotiating unless they're willing to either surrender or assassinate the Demon Lord. Almandra is ready to lose it, but Uchimura steps in and holds her back. It's clear that Ogre is just trying to provoke them, to get them to make a mistake that he can use against them later. Uchimura suggests they step outside for a quick chat, away from the tension in the throne room. Once they're outside, Almandra lets her frustration spill out. She's ready to fight, but Uchimura calms her down. He explains that Ogre's strategy is to make them look bad, so that he can blame them for the failure of the negotiations. Almandra, though still furious, understands the plan and agrees to keep her cool. Just when it seems like all hope is lost, Ogre's daughter, Orl, shows up with a surprising request. She apologizes for the interruption and asks for their help in deposing her father. It turns out that Ogre's tribe is facing severe financial struggles, despite their reputation for strength. And Orl's plan is to overthrow her father in order to fix the situation. Suddenly, Uchimura's mission takes a huge turn. It's a whole new mess, and Uchimura is stuck in the middle of it. Uchimura had suspected as much the moment he stepped into the castle. It felt like walking into a company that was trying to keep up appearances, but was on the brink of bankruptcy. The walls were barely holding up, the equipment looked like it had been scavenged from a yard sale, and the entire place screamed failure. Orl, the daughter of the tribe's leader, quickly made it clear that their only hope was the demon army. Her father was ill and refusing to cooperate. His health was a well-kept secret, which seemed like a terrible business strategy. Orl was convinced that the demon army was their salvation, but her father wouldn't budge. While the tribe's leaders tiptoed around the truth, Uchimura was left to navigate the mess. Orl eventually trusted him enough to reveal that her father's health was rapidly declining, but Uchimura cautioned against spreading such sensitive information too freely. After all, nothing says trustworthy like telling someone you've just met about your father's impending death. But Orl, with all the confidence, insisted she knew better and fully trusted him. Then, just when Uchimura thought he had seen it all, Orl did something truly unexpected: she proposed marriage to him. It was like a business deal, but with more demons and less paperwork. Naturally, Uchimura was taken aback. He wasn't exactly the marrying type, especially not after the chaotic ride his life had become. Almandra, his assistant and occasional rival, she immediately intervened, preventing Uchimura from making any rash decisions. Later, Uchimura sat in his office, processing his bizarre day. He had a stalled negotiation, an unexpected marriage proposal, and an entire tribe teetering on the edge of collapse. If there was ever a time to question his life choices, it was now. So, Uchimura retreated into his mental bar, where his imaginary Almandra was having a very heated debate with a bartender about whether gorillas or lions were cooler. Almandra, in one of her rare moments of passion, argued that lions were better because they had pride. Uchimura, still unsure that this had to do with anything, had a sudden epiphany. He could use ogre's pride against him. The next morning, Uchimura called Almandra into his office. He had come up with a new strategy. Instead of targeting the larger tribes, they'd focus on the smaller ones. They were struggling for resources and might be more open to the demon army's offer of aid. Almandra wasn't convinced, but Uchimura explained that this was a tactic he used back on Earth: secure the smaller clients first, and the larger ones would follow. If the surrounding demi-human tribes joined the demon army, ogre's pride wouldn't allow him to remain isolated. It was the perfect plan. A week later, as expected, Ogre summoned them, and when he learned of the smaller tribes' alliances, he was furious. Uchimura, ever the smooth talker, feigned innocence and claimed he'd just been offering aid to struggling tribes. This only made Ogre angrier, but it worked to Uchimura's advantage. Uchimura then revealed Orl's involvement, and Ogre, shocked by his daughter's betrayal, listened as she explained that the alliance was the only way to save the tribe. She pointed out her father's failing health and urged him to accept the demon army's help. Uchimura saw an opportunity. Instead of pushing for a merger, which would have been a direct hit to Ogre's pride, he proposed an equal partnership. This played right into Ogre's ego, and after some thought, Ogre agreed to consider the offer. Uchimura knew this was his moment. If he could appeal to Ogre's pride, the deal would be done. A few days later, Almandra excitedly informed Uchimura that Ogre had accepted the deal. Uchimura was now preoccupied with an entirely new issue: he needed a personal assistant. While Almandra had been his right-hand woman, Uchimura realized he needed someone else, but before he could make things any worse, there was a knock at the door. It was Orl offering her services as a representative of the ogre tribe. She was grateful for Uchimura's help and wanted to show her appreciation by assisting him in any way possible. Uchimura, still flustered from the previous conversation, offered her the position of personal assistant. Orl eagerly accepted, and Almandra, who had been quietly seething in the corner, now saw Orl as a rival. Despite the drama, Uchimura reflected on his recent success. The demon army was growing stronger, but with that came new risks. More allies meant more enemies, and the political landscape was becoming more volatile by the day. Uchimura knew they couldn't let their guard down. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss the next episode. See you next time.